Hi, my name's Akansha Malik, and I'm from Melbourne.
Excellent Sami, it's Bal here.
Hi, I'm Alan Smith.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Hey, neighbor Tess. I come from Spain.
I'm Prasant from California.
大家好，我是卢建辉。My name is Lance.
I'm Fakasi from Australia.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Marsman from the United States.
Hi, I'm Arpita Gupta from India.
Hi,
I'm Matthew Renton from the USA.
I'm Joe Spizak from California. Hi, Midi Eddie Daoud from Ghana.
Hi, I'm Ana from Ana.
Merhaba, ben Türkiye'den Daron Yönden.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And thank you for joining AI Talks. Today, I have Joe Fernandez and Charles Sterling, both from Microsoft. Joe, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Hank. So yeah, my name is Joe. I'm a program manager at Microsoft in the AI Builder team, which is the topic we're going to cover today. So excited to be here and excited to show you what's new and exciting in our product.
Nice. And what is the product?
AI Builder, which is the feature within the Power Platform, so the Microsoft Power Platform, that allows you to very easily add AI to your business processes. And we're going to do a lot of demos. You're going to see how easy it is to do it.
That sounds really interesting. Charles, can you introduce yourself?
Hey, Hank, thank you very much. As you said, my name is Charles Sterling. I've been with Microsoft a really long time. I started out actually back in support. So I used to answer the phone calls from Excel. So I really understand why people like Joe are endeavoring to make our software easier and easier and easier to use. And I also worked on the Visual Studio team, specifically the .NET framework, for a long time. So I also understand developers wanting to be able to create something. So this is a synthesis with this citizen developer Power Platform, making it easy, making it low code. And I actually own the community channels for the Power Platform, specifically for PowerApps. So if you've ever gone to ideas.powerapps.com or community.powerapps.com, that experience is something that me and my team work on.
Sounds cool. And you're going to do some demos today?
We both are.
Cool. So I would say let's go for it. Joe, you are going to show your screen first, I think.
Yep. Let me go ahead and do that.
Then I will put it in the stream. And then it is all yours.
Great. Thank you so much. So let's get started. So just to give a little bit of agenda of what we're going to cover in this talk. So I'm going to start with a small introduction of what is AI Builder. So for those of you who are not familiar with AI Builder or even with the Power Platform, I'm going to do a very brief introduction. And then we're going to walk through the different capabilities of AI Builder, mostly with demos, which is the easiest way and the most interesting way to look at the capabilities. So let's jump right in. Probably a term that everybody has heard, digital transformation. We heard that companies are going through the digital transformation journey. And when we talk to customers of what this means, usually it means that they identify processes that are normally manual, paper-based, and very inefficient. And they apply technology to automate them, to improve them. And historically, what we've seen is that companies have taken those manual processes and they build some applications, some way to modernize those processes. And they can either build an application using code, or they can use something like PowerApps, which allows you to very easily build an application. So that's the first step. So try taking an existing process, digitize it, modernize it, build an application, build an interface to introduce data. But then comes automation, and that's where AI plays a big role here. Now we have a lot of AI power, a lot of AI capabilities coming out pretty much every month. And AI allows us to take those processes and take them to the next level with automation. And that's where we're seeing digital transformation journeys today. We have applications, and now we're going to use AI to automate those applications and make them smarter. And if we go to companies, like the majority of them do think that AI is going to bring a competitive advantage and it's going to create a huge business opportunity for them. But then in reality, a very small percent of them are actually deploying AI. Why is that? Well, multiple reasons, but the main one is that AI is hard. I mean, probably if you're in this call, you have some knowledge already on AI, and you know it's difficult. It requires time to study, machine learning, complex algorithm. It's not something easy to implement. And on top of that, there is a lack of talent. So you need data scientists to build a strong AI capability. And unfortunately, there's not that much talent available to recruit. So that's why a lot of companies who want to apply AI, but very few are able to because there's not enough resources to do it. And that's the motivation behind AI Builder. So we built AI Builder to allow you to very easily add AI to your business processes without having to have any background or any formal education on data science or even computer science. And you will see in the demos that we're going to do today how easy it is to create AI models that you can then apply to your business. So AI Builder, it's part of the Power Platform family. And for those of you who don't know the Power Platform is what we call the low-code platform of Microsoft. And low-code meaning that you don't need to know how to program, how to code in order to use these applications. And there's 4 big applications. The first one, and probably the most well-known one, is Power BI, which allows you to build very nice dashboards and model your data from the data that you have in your company. The second one is PowerApps, and we will see a demo of that today, where you can very easily build an application. If you know PowerPoint and if you know Excel, you can build a mobile or web application, or even a desktop application with PowerApps. Power Automate is when you have a need to orchestrate a process. So let's say that I want to, every time I receive an email, I want to take that attachment, save it in my OneDrive folder, and then post a message in Teams. You can very easily orchestrate that process. And with a very simple drag and drop interface, you're going to be able to do that. And we're going to also see a demo of this so you get a sense of what you can do with Power Automate. And the most recent member of the Power Platform family is Power Virtual Agents, which allows you to build a chatbot, again, with a super easy interface. So if you're looking to build a chatbot, check out Power Virtual Agents. There's a lot of very cool scenarios that you can do with chatbots today. And to the service of the Power Platform, we have first data connectors, which allows you to connect any of these applications to more of 300 data sources or 300 services. So not only Microsoft services, but also external services. So for example, when I was talking about Power Automate, I put the example of I receive an email, I save it to OneDrive, and then post to Teams. So those are within the Microsoft ecosystem. But with the connectors, you can also talk to any other non-Microsoft applications. So you could do something like, if I receive an email on Gmail, I want to save the attachment in Dropbox and then post a message in Slack. The connectors allows you to do that. The Common Data Service is the heart of the Power Platform, is the place where you're going to store all the information. And it's a super robust database. It scales based on your needs. It has everything around governance, data security, auditing. It's the database for the business world. And then the topic that we're going to cover today, it's AI Builder. It's that capability of the Power Platform that allows you to add AI to any of these applications. An AI Builder, so we launched it a year ago, but it's not some new AI models that we created. It's actually based on the deep expertise that Microsoft has in AI, and it's actually based on the AI technology that's available today in Azure. And our story here is that you can start with AI Builder, and that's going to be a very simple use, not a complex interface, no need to code, no need to have data science knowledge. But if you want to go deeper, you have all the breadth of Azure. So you can go all the way into there and go to all the details that you need to. So AI Builder today, we have a bunch of AI capabilities, and we group them in 3 categories. The first one is vision, which is all these AI capabilities where you work with images. So things like detect object images, taking a scan of a document and be able to extract data, OCR, all that is part of vision. Language, we all work with a lot of text, emails, chats. So AI Builder offers a lot of capabilities to extract knowledge and intelligence from those texts. And we'll see that in the demos. And the third pillar is prediction. It's when you have historical data and you want to predict future outcomes. So let's imagine that you want to know if one of your customers is going to churn or not based on historical behavior. With AI Builder, you can build a prediction model that is going to allow you to predict that. Very, very cool. So let's get right into it. So the first scenario we wanted to show you today, it's called form processing. And it's actually our most popular scenario. A lot of companies today, probably you know, use a lot of document-based processes, like I receive invoices, I receive purchase orders, I receive delivery slips, and there's people copying data from those documents into another system. Now with AI Builder, you can build a model that will extract the information that you need from these documents, and then using Power Automate, for example, you can orchestrate a process to save that data elsewhere. So think of it like a super intelligent OCR, that is going to allow you to extract the data that you need. And the best way to show it, so let's do a demo. Let's imagine that we are a project manager, and we in our project we have to manage invoices, and every time we receive an invoice, we need to save that information into an Excel spreadsheet, and then we need to post to a Teams channel about the new invoice that we receive. So this is something that we're doing manually today, and let's see how we can use AI Builder and the Power Platform to automate this process. So let's have a look. So here I have some invoices that I want to extract information from. Here is the Excel file where I want to fill this information, and here I have Teams where I work with my colleagues. So everything starts. I'm going to go into the Power Automate portal, and you will see that there's an AI Builder section. So I'm here in AI Builder, and this is going to show me everything I can do with AI Builder. So as you see, a lot of AI capabilities. We won't be demoing everything today, but you're going to see a few of them. So going back to our first scenario, form processing. So we need to extract data from forms. So this looks like the right scenario to build. And the first step is, let's just give it a name. So let's name it, for example, Global AI Community Demo. Oops, demo. Create. And now we're going to go into what we call the wizard, which is an experience that is going to guide you on how to build an AI model. So first step is asking me to upload at least 5 sample documents of the document type I want to build a model on. So let me do that. So I'm going to click on Add Documents. I can bring them either from a SharePoint site, an Azure Blob Storage, but in my case, I'm going to upload them from my device. And here I have 5 simple invoices. So let me go ahead and upload them. Okay. And now I'm going to click here on Analyze. And what Analyze is going to do is AI Builder is going to look through this sample that I have uploaded, and it's going to try to automatically find all the fields and tables that are available in this document. So this is going to take a few seconds. So we'll wait. While we wait, you can see that the experience is super simple. Like we guide you step by step, so you won't get lost in the process. We also give you quick tips. So if a step is a little bit more complex, you have some tips here on what to do and best practices. And always, like, there's also a help button. So if you ever get lost, help is just one click away. So this should be done in just a few seconds. For those of you who might have a little bit more knowledge on AI, what we're actually doing here is what we call an unsupervised training. So we're going to try to automatically build an AI model to extract those fields and tables for you. So we've run that, and now what we're going to do is we're going to open this document. And once it's finished loading, it's going to show me all the fields and all the tables that it's been able to detect. So you see here in blue, it's showing me all the fields detected. So in our case, we need to save a bunch of things. So the invoice number, subtotal, tax. So let's just go ahead and select all that. So let's start with the total amount, the shipping cost, the tax amount, the subtotal. both dates. Let's also select them. The invoice number, and here we see that it's proposing me invoice as a title. We can change it. We can just say, no, this I prefer to call it invoice number, so then it's going to be easier to consume. I can also select table. So here you have the table. I'm going to take that table. And you see here, I need the build to address, but it's missing the first line. So what I can do, it just fix the selection and say, hey, this is actually the build to address. I'm going to call this build to. And the address has not been detected, but I can manually draw it and say, hey, this field is so important for me. I'm going to call it address. Okay, so once we've done that, we're going to go into a confirmation step. And this step is AI Builder is going to show me all the documents that I have uploaded. And for the ones that I have to modify them, I need to teach AI Builder how to recognize them. So now it's telling me, okay, I know how to recognize these ones because I've been able to automatically detect them, but I'm not quite sure yet how to recognize build to and address. So please teach me. And we just teach AI Builder by just tagging those fields. So this is the address. This is the build to address. Same thing for this other instance. This is the address, the build to address. Okay, and last document, address, and build to address. Okay, so now we've reviewed our 5 documents and we're ready to train it. So I'm going to go into the next step. It's going to show me, well, it's going to show me a summary of what I've used for this model so far. So I've uploaded 5 images, and these are the fields that are going to be returned by the model. So now we're ready to just go ahead and train the model. And this might take a few minutes, so to not be here all just staring at the screen. I already trained a model with the same documents as this one. So once the training finishes, we land into this page that shows us again what are the fields that I extracted, and can do something called the quick test to test my model. So I can go ahead, take another invoice which I didn't use for training, and AI Builder is going to show me what it's able to extract from this invoice, and it's giving me right results, and it's also showing me a confidence score. So confidence scores are pretty high. If the confidence score were not as high, I could just go back, add more documents, do more tagging, and that way the model will get better. Okay, so we have a model. We're happy with it. So now we can use it. And today you can use it either in an application in PowerApps or in a flow in an automation. And because we want to digitize a process, which is writing into an Excel spreadsheet and sending a message to teams, let's use flow, which is going to be easier to orchestrate the process. So by clicking create a new flow, it's going to take me to the experience to create a flow. I just need to confirm my connections here. So let's continue. And it has already started the creation of a flow manually. So this is the trigger. What is going to trigger this flow? It's a manual button. In this case, I could change it to anything else, like when I receive an email, when a new file is added to a Dropbox folder. There's thousands of triggers that flow supports, but just for this demo, we're going to keep the manual trigger. The second step is we're going to run the model. And then we said, okay, we need to write into an Excel file. So let me go ahead, select the Excel connector. Just to go back, I was saying, so these are all the connectors that Flow supports, more than 300. As you can see, there's both Microsoft services and non-Microsoft services. So most probably your service is here. And even if your service is not here, you can build your own custom connector. So in our case, we need Excel. So I'm going to select the Excel connector. And I want to add a row into a table. So it's going to ask me a few things. Okay, so where is the Excel file? I have it in my OneDrive folder. There we go. In which library? In this case, it's OneDrive. Which file should I use? So I have this invoices Excel file. And if I have multiple tables in my spreadsheet, it's going to ask me which table. In my case, I only have one table. And now it's going to show me everything that I need to fill into the table. So now here, Power Automate is showing me everything that is returned by the model. So now I just have to map. So I need the invoice number. So I'm going to quickly search it. Invoice number. There we go. The subtotal amount. The tax. Oops. Tax value. There we go. The shipping cost. The due date. And the bill to address. There we go. So that's the first step. And then the second one we said, so once we write into the Excel file, I need to notify my colleagues on Teams. So let me go ahead and select the Teams connector. And what we're going to do is we're going to post a message as the Flowbot into a channel. So it's going to tell me, okay, which teams should I choose? So I have my team called Fabricam. In which channel? So my team has a lot of channels, but in this case, I wanted to post it into the invoices channel. What's the message? So let's just keep it simple. Something like new invoice. Maybe we want to show the invoice ID and the total amount. And again, I'm going to map it with what is returned by the model. So invoice number, I call it, yeah, invoice number value and total amount. Okay, so now we've built our process. So it maybe it's taking a little bit of time the first time, but now I can like run it 1,000 times and it's going to do this operation over and over again. So we've set up this automation and now let's just go ahead and test it. So I'm going to perform, so the trigger is manual, so I need to manually trigger this. And to see it live, maybe what we can do is we can put the Excel file and the flow next to each other. Let me try this again. Okay, I need to confirm my connections. Okay, another flow is asking me, okay, I need a file to process, so please provide me a file. So let's use this one, this invoice. And what is the type? It's a PNG image. And let's run the flow and let's see what happens. Okay, so now for Automate, this flow has taken the invoice that I've provided. It's going to send it to the model. The model is going to extract all the information and it's going to enter it into the Excel spreadsheet and post it to Teams. So as you see, it posted here the information. Maybe we can open, so I think it was number 6 on the text folder. There we go. Oops, let's put it here. So invoice number 443, subtotal 4930, tax 099. As you see, it's been able to extract everything and add it. And Teams, let's also check. So if we go to Teams, and if I make it this a little bit bigger, we see that today at 6:23 local time, which is my local time, it has posted that information. So that's it. That's form processing and how we fairly quickly we've been able to build this automation. So a process that used to be manual, we just automated super easily with AI Builder and the Power Platform. Good. So we've seen that. The second scenario I wanted to show you, it's what we call text recognition, which it's also known as OCR. So many times you just need to extract the text which is present in an image and not do anything fancy like we do for form processing. So that with text recognition, you can very easily add the OCR to your applications and to your flows in Power Automate. So let's have a quick look on how we do that. So now I'm going to go to PowerApps. Again, either from PowerApps.com or from PowerAutomate.com, I can access AI Builder, and it's going to show me everything that AI Builder is able to do. And text recognition is what we call a straight-to-productivity model, meaning that I don't need to train anything. It's already trained for me. And so I just open it. I get some information on what I can do, some best practices, and I'm ready to use it either in a flow in Power Automate or in an application. In my case, I already have an application. Let's imagine that I'm an electricity company, and I have people, operators, going into houses to take the electricity meter reading. And this is a manual process today. So somebody goes and writes them in a sheet of paper and then goes back to a company, and somebody copies it to a computer. And so manual process. I've digitized it. So I built an application. So now it's a little bit more digital experience. So now that operator is going to go into my house. He's going to look at my electricity meter and just type it into the application. So the consumption here is 0196. So it's better than the paper-based process, but it's still manual in the sense that I still need to enter the information, and I can be wrong if I type something very, very quickly. So let's infuse some AI into this application. So for those of you who don't know it, and we'll see more of it today, this is the PowerApps maker. So this is where you build your Power applications, your PowerApps. And if you use PowerPoint or Excel, this is going to look very familiar. So let's just add some AI to this application. So if I go into the Insert menu, I have this AI Builder option, where I see all the AI capabilities that I can do in this in PowerApps. And I'm going to add the text recognizer control. So, okay, let me just put it a little bit nicer here so it fits my application layout. And to save some time, what I already did is I wrote a simple formula so that every time I select a text from this control, it's going to automatically fill it here. And yeah, you see now the experience. So let me run the application. And let's imagine that I go to somebody's house and I take a photo of the electricity meter. Now this is going to call our OCR engine, and it's going to show me in these blue boxes all the text I've been able to detect. So what I can do with the interaction that I built, I can just click on the text that I want and put it where I want it. So I say, okay, this is where I want to fill the model. So the model is this one. I'm going to click on the model checkbox. And the serial number is this one. So I'm going to click on the serial number and just click here to input it. So as you see, very quickly, we've been able to leverage AI to speed up this process. There's a small mistake here. So the S is being treated as $1, but I can very quickly fix it. Click Save, and I'm good to go. So a process that usually require a lot of manual writing. Now with AI, we automated it and speed up a lot. So that's for text recognition, OCR. And the last demo I'm going to do for image scenario is around object detection, which is this one. So you're going to use object detection if you have a need to identify and count images, objects in images. So we see a lot of usage for this in retail, for example, where you need to quickly count objects. We've seen some customers implement object detection for this use case. And one of the customers, and if you search AI Builder in YouTube, you'll even see a demo of this with our CEO, Sajjan Adela, which is TNT Pepsi. They are a bottler in the US of Pepsi products. And they have a very interesting digital transformation journey. They actually started with, they have employees that go into supermarkets and they do an inventory of the Pepsi products that are available in the shelves. And it used to be a paper-based process. So somebody used to go to a supermarket and just with a paper say, okay, there's 5 Pepsi Max products, 5 Pepsi normal products. So that will get collected into paper, go back to a company, and then somebody would take that paper information and save it into an Excel spreadsheet. But they did with PowerApps. With PowerApps, they built an application. So now instead of writing that on paper, they wrote it into an app, into a PowerApp. And that way, the data is structured, digitized, and easy to use further in the process. And now with AI, what they've been able to do is they just take a photo of the shelf, and AI Builder is going to detect all the Pepsi products in the shelf and automatically fill the information on the application without having to enter that information. So let me do a very quick demo on this one, so you see how easy it is to do. So let me go back to PowerApps. And let's go ahead and create an object detection model. And I'm going to call this community demo. And our use case here is, so unfortunately, I don't have photos of Pepsi products that we can use in this call, but we have these tea bottles, and I want to build an application so I can take a photo of these tea bottles and count how many of them I have. So first step is going to ask me which domain. Is it a common object, something on objects on retails, or is it brand logos? And depending which option I choose, the model is going to be tweaked to better perform here. Because I don't have high density objects in my examples, I'm just going to go ahead and select the common objects model. And it's going to tell me, okay, what are the names of the objects I should learn to recognize? So in my case, I have 3 different types. I have rose, mint, and cinnamon. So let me go this. So rose, mint, oops, sorry, mint, and we say cinnamon, right? So cinnamon, perfect. Next. Okay, now give me the images. And here we need to upload at least 15 images per object. So again, I have multiple options for where to upload. In my case, I'm going to use my local device. And I have here a number of images of these tea bottles, which I'm going to upload. So it's 33 images in total. Okay. So I have my names, I have my images. So now it's up to me to teach a builder how to recognize this. And the way to do it is we open each image and we just go ahead and tag and say, okay, this is a rose, this is mint. And you might have noticed that we also try to detect images. So you see there's a white square rectangle, which I can just click on it, and it's going to make the tagging process much faster. So I'm going to do this. For example, if I go here, it's already detecting this. So rose, cinnamon, mint. And I will do this for the 30 images. To not bore you watching me tag all these images, I already trained a model, which is this one. And in this case, it's going to give me a performance score. In this case, the performance score is very high, but we tell you this, that it looks, it's odd. And the way it's odd is because we only uploaded very few images. And if it's only few images, it's going to perform well on those few images. But you probably might want to add more images to have the model perform better. And to finish, let me show you how easy it is to create an application with this. Before we saw how we could create a flow with Power Automate. Now let's create an application that is going to leverage this model. So I'm going to click in New App. It's going to open the PowerApps Studio Maker, where I can make my applications. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a mobile application with the object detector control already added, and with the model that we just trained also link it. So I can put it here nicely. And I want to do something very simple. I want to just display in a table all the objects that are detected by the photos that I take. So to do that, I'm going to just add a table. I'm going to put it nicely here. With a simple formula, I'm going to say, okay, which items should I display in this table? So using this formula, I'm going to say they're going to come from the object detector, the group results, And now I'm going to click on Edit Fields to select which columns I want to show. So I want to show the tag name, which is the object name, and the object count, which is the number of objects which I detect for each of these names. Okay, so now we have an application ready. So let's run it. And because I'm on my PC, it's showing me the file storage. But if I was on my mobile phone, it will show me like the device camera to take a photo. And let's just not use the train, but the test folder. So photos that we didn't use for training. And now what it's going to do is took the photo, put it into the AI builder model, and detected all the objects, and just showing like there's one rose tea, one mint tea, and one salmon tea. So as you saw, it's super easy to leverage these AI capabilities to add either to your applications or to your business flows. So this covers the vision scenarios. And now I'm going to hand it over to Chuck, who's going to show us the text scenarios.
Hank, are you sharing my screen? There we go. Okay, so Joe set the bar. He made it show how easy it is for you guys to get started with artificial intelligence. I'm going to see if I can make it easier. So he went through and created a couple models. Again, the OCR ones can be hard to beat because that was actually, I think, almost no code. But I'm going to actually go through and start with where I'd recommend you guys start, which is the pre-built models. And if you want to play with them right off the bat, if you just go to the AI Builder tab, you'll actually see that you can try all of them. So there's a try it out. And if I go out and say, Joe is the bestest ever, and I go out and hit enter, and I go out and hit this little tab, what I should do is it should tell me what the sentiment is. So it's actually grinding away. Usually it's a little bit faster than this, so I apologize for that. And what I'm going to do is it's a positive sentiment, which of course Joe deserves a positive sentiment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use all of the pre-built models in your own application and actually walk through all of them. I don't think I do language detection, but I think you're going to just see the pattern and see how easy it is. So the first one is the sentiment analysis that I just showed you. So what I've got here is I've got a form, and I've actually got the slides in my forms. That way I don't have to go back and actually review a bunch of slides. And this is actually going to be where I type in my text, and this is where I want to see what is the sentiment, right? So what I'm going to do here is I am going to type in AI Builder, right? And then it goes out and gives me those pre-built models. So in this case, it's the analyze sentiment. That's pretty easy, and it simply wants to know that what text am I going to use? Now I could actually go out and put it in hard codes. Joe is the best. But that's not very useful. So what we're going to do is go out and say AI, and it looks like it's called, in this particular one, AI text 1_2. So I can go out and say AI text _2, and you can see, I don't know if you can actually see it through StreamYard, but it actually highlighted that text box in green to show that that's what I was doing. And now what I go out and do, oh, actually I need to reference the .text. It wants to know what property to use, and the sentiment itself. Okay, so now when I hit enter and I run this, and I go out and type in Control A, Joe is even better now. It's grinding away because it's actually every time I did it, and this is of course positive. So that's how easy it is for you guys to get started with actually implementing artificial intelligence or machine learning in your application. This line of text, that's it. Pretty easy, right? Well, let's see if I can actually continue this trend, but actually do it in a little bit more complicated scenario. So entities are a way of going out and grabbing, parsing blocks of text and actually finding well-known types of data. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about age, color. I'm wearing a blue shirt. Maybe price. What else is in there? Gender, location, cities. There's all kinds of well-known defined entities. We use those all the time in chatbots. Joe was talking about using Power Virtual Agents. I'm going to show you how easy it is actually to go ahead and grab this big block of text. This is actually just from one of my blog posts, I think, is actually where this is at. I don't know. I just grabbed a block of text. What we're going to do is, since it actually entities is going to give me multiples, rather than actually putting it into a text box, I'm going to go out and dump it into a table. So what did I do last time? I went out and typed in AI Builder. And in this case, it is, we're doing entities. So we're going to go extract the entities. And then wants to know what text. And again, the text here is called AI text underscore 5. So if I go out into AI underscore text, and then it's number 5. And again, I see that little green box. That's good. Dot text. And that's the only argument. Now, there's a couple properties off of extract entities. And the table needs to know which one do I want. In this case, I want the entities themselves as the collection or the table object. And now it's bound. And that's pretty cool, but I'm not saying anything. What's going on? What I need to do is actually tell what fields I should display. So if I go ahead and click on Edit Fields and choose Add, you'll see that I actually get a plethora of different metadata around it. And you can see that I get all of these. So personal name is Charles Sterling. The ordinal is current, time, and the color is yellow. So I could go out and actually start putting those in a tabular format and start processing with Power BI or something that I would actually then visualize the data. So that's entity extraction. Now, I've often gone out and said that, I don't know, the forms processing is pretty cool. I think that one may be my favorite, but the other one I really, really enjoy is the data classification. Now, before I had to create a model like what Joe did, is I actually went out and got a bunch of text and said, this is actually associated with this classification. Why is that my favorite? Why did that excite me? I do lots of feedback from our product, and sometimes I don't get the best data classification. So what I could do is I can actually train some of the data and have it applied, and then I can give it to the teams to make it actionable for them. Let's actually go ahead and go to the next, what is it? The Alt button. Let's go to the next slide. In this case, we're gonna go, oh, data classification is one more. We're gonna do key phrase, then we'll get to data classification. Sorry, I had these out of order, my apologies. But this one's gonna be pretty easy because you've actually already got that pattern in your head. I'm gonna go in here under items, I'm gonna type in AI Builder, just like I did before. And in this case, it is the key phrase. And key phrase, what does that take? It takes a text box or a block of text just like it did before. This text is called, what is this one called? It is called AI text underscore 6. AI, why did you not help me out here? One more time. Oh, I think, I see why. It's because I changed the highlight. So that's why I was gonna say, why is it not helping me anymore? AI text underscore 6 and close parentheses. And in this case, I only have phrases, so it makes it a little bit easier. Once again, it wants to know what fields to display in my table. Let's go ahead and select the fields, and you'll see that I just have phrases. And what I should do is actually get back a collection of phrases. In this case, it went out and figured out the most concise or pertinent piece of information from this text box is what it's about is Dotson. And yeah, actually, I'm kind of into Dotson 280Zs and 240Zs. My pastime. So this is about my hobbies, which is correct. There's a lot of algorithms actually. There's lots of data scientists have actually gone out and taken a look at algorithms to figure out what is a key phrase. And foot. I don't know why foot was an exciting part of this, but anyways, this is actually what the algorithm pulled back as far as key phrases for the AI Builder pre-built model. And of course, how would I use this? I would actually probably, again, use it in Power BI and actually do a word cloud and figure out how often is this showing up across all my blocks of text. This is how I would use it, and I do use it this way. Again, if I'm looking at product feedback, I will actually do key phrases, break it up, look at the sentiment of those text boxes, and then go through and figure out which one's actually popping the most. Where are most people talking about? Now, finally, the one that I said is arguably my favorite is data classification, because as I mentioned, I can go through and apply in my own model what categories of data or what categories should be applied to a block of text. In the samples, when we first shipped AI Builder, we actually give hospital surveys. That's a beautiful example where we got all the survey data from these hospitals where people said, hey, the beds are clean, and they actually had different categories. Some was about the surgeons and some was about the staffing, etc. So what they've done since then, matter of fact, the blog post just went out in the Power Automate blog and is going to go out probably on Monday in the PowerApps blog, is that we've actually made a pre-built model for data classifications. I don't know. Oh, it's actually, looks like I got 2 tables. Let's get rid of this table. This one's actually kind of an artifact. There we go. You're gone. So what I'm going to do, just like you've seen before, is I'm going to go ahead and go up here, type in AI Builder. You've actually seen me do this a couple of times. Categories text. There are, Joe, help me out. There are 6 different categories that we've got. And we can actually, we'll look them up because they actually are listed there in the text. There is service, staff, complementary. Actually, again, there's 6 of them, I believe, and we can go out and find, look at those. First argument it wants is the text box, and it is the same text as before, and I think this one is actually looking at, what is that, 7? Probably. Yes, it is looking at 7. And it wants to know, in this case, what categories that we're pulling back. I think in general, it just returns the 1 in the scenarios I've seen. But let's go ahead and look at our table and add the fields that we want to use. In this case, we could see a score and the type of category we're looking at. And let's go out and see that, oh, that makes sense. So this text box, if we run it, went out and said, AI Builder customer support really helped my issue. What happens if I just change 1 word? Clearly, 1 word can make all the difference in the world. And I want my mouse pointer. Yeah. Okay, how about AI? No, I can't even type. I think I have something on top of it. I am not going to call that. I'm actually going to go through and cheat. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the text box here. I think I actually have a Z order issue here. And I'm going to go out and say the AI Builder product, right? So before it was the service team, but now it's the product. And you'll see that it's actually already changed from a service to documentation. What else could there be? What other types of categories? I mentioned that there's like 6 of them. What happens if I go out and talk about the text being, well, let's go back to the Joe is great. So Joe is great. What category is that? Well, I already mentioned the one before. Oh, I didn't change the text. Try that one more time. Here we go. Joe is great. Let's hit enter. And this time, what I expect to see not is we didn't find any. What I expect to say is it's complementary. Joe is a great AI Builder PM. See if it does better now. It happened a second ago. There we go. Okay, so it goes out and saw, I don't know why the extraneous text confused it, but he is a great AI. So apparently you're an artificial intelligence at this point. And it sees that this type of category is a complement. And what it'll do is, again, we've got 6 pre-built models where you can go out and say, hey, I am expecting this to be a complement or about my service or my documentation or about the product itself. Product is another one. And it will return back, are we actually looking at the right type of data? In addition to the pre-built one, you will actually, oh, I changed it over here is what I did. I see what I did. This actually was set AI Builder. And you actually can go out and build your own models, like I said, for products, etc. So that's actually all of the pre-built models with the exception of language detection. Language detection uses the exact same syntax, but you would go out and give it like a Spanish, Chinese, Turkish, Portuguese. Again, there's about 7 of the languages that we support. Okay, let's go ahead and go to my next slide. Oh, we got about 9 minutes. I wanted to make sure and leave you guys some time with some questions. But I highly recommend you actually start with the pre-built models in PowerApps. I don't think it gets any easier. If you actually are wanting to start using the controls themselves, I don't think it gets any easier than the business card control, and then followed by the OCR control that Joe just showed. Those are just really, really easy to use. The forms one is amazingly powerful. I would highly recommend you go out and take a look at Vivek or Reza Durrani's or my videos, because what happens is it gives you a table back, and the tables, you need to actually walk through those and use things like lookups. It's not hard. It's just it's syntax that you probably want to look at. So here are the links that I highly recommend that you start to actually get your AI builder journey going on. Matter of fact, the application that we were just looking at in the last 3 screens, I've actually got in the community. So if you actually want to see lots of samples on this, you can go to community.powerapps.com, and there's a community samples gallery right here. And I know that Reza Durrani put one up on the 9th, and I actually put one up on not too much longer than that. And it is actually on how to use, oh, there it is, right here. This is a great, and again, it's all the sample code and a video on everything that we just did as well. So if you want somebody that talks a little bit slower than me, maybe not as many verbalized pauses, go check out that video and his sample. Additionally, in addition to the community galleries and the link that Hank actually put up in the chat window, which is ak.ms/PowerApps demos, we've got 19 different Learn modules for PowerApps, of 6 of which are dedicated to just AI Builder. Additionally, all of those images and all those data sets for you to get started are actually downloadable from the documentation. So if you go out and take a look at the docs, do pay attention for hyperlinks, because we actually have simple data sets for you to get started. And then lastly, and I think I'm going to hand the microphone back to Joe, is the team is actually very, very data driven. I actually say I spend a lot of time on ideas.powerapps.com, and they take that to heart. They look at the survey data. They actually are very data driven as far as what new features and where areas they work on, and they want your feedback. So if you've got time, and if you've actually used the product and you actually want to have a conversation with the product team. So Antonio is actually the one that does the pre-built models that I just demoed. Joe owns forms. And again, the rest of the PM team is amazing. Go to ak.ms/AI Builder Feedback, and you can actually talk to the team. And I believe, Joe, that is me handing back to you or Hank, because I'm done with my demos.
Great, yeah, thanks a lot, Chuck. It's been amazing. You're also great. The next time I also need to put you in my demos and show your greatness as well. So yeah, you said perfectly. So we love getting in touch with users of AI Builder. So if you go to that link, you fill the survey. You can put like your needs, like what are you looking to do in AI Builder, and based on that, we'll contact you. And if there's, for example, if there's something that is not today in AI Builder, but you think will be a great addition, just put it there. I will definitely be happy to have that conversation. So yeah, thanks. Thanks.
And Hank, has there been any questions?
No, there haven't been any questions coming in. So I think
we've done our job well, because that's how easy the product is to use.
Yeah, I actually was amazed how easy it is to do. I can remember that I tried to do that in C#, all that, and then I failed. And now it can just be done with like a few clicks. So that is a super good point. Like maybe like if we were to do what my demos and Chuck's demos, like in C# or other language,
will take like days, if not weeks, to do it. We did it in barely less than 1 hour.
Yeah, like 50 minutes. You showed like a form recognizer thing, which was really great.
Well, like I mentioned, I was in the Visual Studio team, and the last time I actually did a simple REST call, just a hello world REST call to get into something like cognitive services. It was 400 lines of code.
Okay.
That was a hello world REST call.
Luckily, that became a bit better because there are some SDKs. You pull in a NuGet package and you're done, and then it's like 5 lines. But still, you have to compile it, build it, host it, and that is all taken away. So yeah, it's impressive. So if I want to use this in production, for me, I'm not very familiar with the Power Platform. Can I just make a public app for everyone, or how do you host it?
So that's a great question. And then it's actually our #1 request on ideas is to go out and do public access. And a public actually means a couple different things. By default, the Power Apps is secure, meaning it will always require an identity for Canvas apps and model-based apps. And I qualify that at the end because if I go out and take a look at file, I don't know if you look, I think you are looking at my screens, right? Here we go, apps. You'll see that under apps, there are 3 types of apps, right? Canvas and model will always need an identity. Now I can share it with you, Hank, and I can share it with Joe, and I can actually do it across organizational boundaries. Okay. So well, Hank, this is actually in my MVP tenant that I'm using. So I can actually share it with your Microsoft credentials and Joe's Microsoft credentials, and you would have access.
I can do multiple tenants, like my private tenant and other companies.
That's right. So I would go out and share this application with you as a named person. But as far as anonymous access, we don't have anonymous access for Canvas apps nor model-based. Now, the one that says portal is actually meant for anonymous access. That's its default. And a lot like Power Virtual Agents is also defaults to anonymous, where you actually then have to figure out the authentication. So again, the answer is nuanced. Could I actually make this available to everybody on this call? Yes. Would I need to actually collect their identities and then invite them to it like I would a Power BI report? Yes. So hopefully that answer made sense.
But give my mother like a CAN recognition system on her mobile phone, she will need an office or an AD tenant.
She will need an identity. So now with Azure B2C, I could actually use her Gmail account. I could use her Outlook account. But what that does is it adds it as a foreign principal into my Active Directory. But it is actually an identity at that point, yeah.
Oh, that is cool. So I can share it somehow with other people that need to have like an Office 365 account.
Or some identity. And by default, well, if you're using Power Apps, you are then backed with AOD and a tenant, yes.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that. So I've learned something.
Yeah, so all this stuff in here, these are all tenant artifacts that are actually all, so everything in here, when I actually look at this, all of my admin center is actually literally looking at different artifacts in my directory. This is actually a great example because what it's doing is it's saying, hey, who do you want to log in as? And you can see that even one of my Gmail accounts is available for me to log in as. And now I can go through and take a look at my tenant from the eyes of a Power Apps administrator or user.
Yeah. Great. Cool. That was it for me. If you have something to share, then this would be the moment.
I'm hoping that I can get an invitation back and maybe actually show you AI from a Power Virtual Agents metaphor. So I actually showed you from a maker construct, and then maybe have you actually take a look at maybe AI from a viewpoint, because Joe did a great job of actually covering AI from Power Automate, but then have one of my peers come back and do a Power BI. So again, If I can talk you into getting me another invitation and actually do power virtual agents and create chatbots, that's really powerful AI.
That will be good because we have a 30-hour 2-track live stream on the 7th and 8th of October.
Okay.
And I think that will fit perfectly. We have like 45-minute tracks. So we start off in New Zealand at like 10 a.m. and then we move all the way over across the world to end at like around 9 p.m. in Seattle. So that will be like the perfect timing. And for next week, we will have Dimitri, actually a colleague of mine, and he is going to talk about creating art with cognitive services portraits and Azure machine learning. Completely different type of talk, but sounds also very interesting. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for making time for us. And continue the good work. And we'll see you back.
Thank you, Hank. Thanks, Joe. You guys take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey, my name's Apansha Malik, and I'm from Melbourne.
Excellent Sami, it's Bal here.
Hi, I'm Alan Smith.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Hey, neighbor test. I come from
I'm
Spain.
Prasant from California.
大家好，我是卢建辉，英文的版内 belongs.
I'm Fantasy from Australia.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Marsman from the United States.
Hi, I'm Arpita Gupta from India.
Hi, I'm Matthew Renton from the USA.
I'm Joe Spizak from California. Hi, Mehdi Eddie Daoud, Ghana.
Hi, I'm Ana from London.
Merhaba, ben Türkiye'den Daron Yönden.
Hi.
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 Hi.